Hey folks, sorry I'm a little late. Core is going way over. I have a feeling that we're probably not going to get them for at least another 5 or 6 minutes. So let's just get started on stuff. All right. I have two new PRs this week that I saw. Um, Igor, tell me about this allocator format version 2 PR from you. It looks huge.
Right. So the primary intention behind this fix is to allow this engine to persist allocator to disk work on scale. So the current format, which is a pair of a set of free extents, offset plus it potentially might grow with this implementation, especially for high volume spinning drives. And it can also overcome the 4 gigabyte and gigabyte file size, maximum file size for BlueFS, which actually requires around 256 million. Hence, the idea is to replace this format with V2 one, which is a bitmap with bit per location unit. So this uses more space on almost empty disks, but if fermentation grows, the space usage remains fixed, the same as we had with stupid allocator versus bitmap one. Not to mention a bunch of cleanup and some performance improvements around this stuff.
So it might be timely. Adam and I were just talking earlier this week about trying to revisit how hybrid allocator works. Maybe doing it a little differently than the current method. Maybe something that combines trees and bitmap in a little bit different way how we currently do it.
Okay, but actually this PR is almost independent from haters.
Yeah, but maybe we merge your PR and then we use the new interface, right?
Yeah, so well, generally this thing works like it uh, dumps free space information from any allocator via for each interface. It dumps it into a bitmap string, and then flushes it to disk. So if allocator implementation supports for each interface, then this stuff should work.
Okay.
So allocator internals are
Do you expect any significant performance difference changes with your PR?
it actually depends on the size of the allocation map, on amount of free space chunks, on free chunks. So if it's large enough, then it provides some benefit.
Okay.
Vice versa.
Cool.
So
It's a
there is a unit test attached to which one can play with, and you can specify amount of extents in locator to save and restore. And with around 200 million of these chunks, the difference is like the original implementation runs in 16 seconds. Well, not even 18, versus new one running in 9 or seconds.
okay.
But if you have just a single pre-extent, the difference delta would be different, completely different.
Can
Because
you
mhm.
I was gonna ask, can you include the output from those tests in the comment on the pull request?
Yeah, I'll do.
Cool. So it's a big pull request. We'll have to I don't know if Adam maybe is the right person to review it. I mean, I can try, but this is a lot.
Mm, yeah, so yeah, it includes some optimization cleanup as well, so maybe
Yeah.
might
I mean, as I look at it, at least it's not maybe this we're adding a fair amount of code, but maybe not terrible. But anyway, yeah. Hopefully, I figure Adam's probably the one that it will fall to review. But if I can round up time, I'll try to take a look. I know I have another one that you've made that I said if Adam couldn't look at it, I'd try to, and that was like a week or two ago. Um,
yeah, Gabby is another person who might want to take a look.
yeah, absolutely. We should see if we can rope him into doing a review. It's a good idea.
He is on the list.
Cool. All right. Let's see. Next PR. Pierre, you contacted me earlier about this one. Do you want to talk about your pull request?
Yeah, so basically this PR improves the performance of opening images in RVD. But as a background for this PR, basically in the Prometheus module, we are trying to create metrics for every image. Right? And the problem with that is that when you try to open an image, it's pretty expensive to open images. And after doing some profiling on the ID side, I found out that every time that you open an image, the image would copy the Ceph context config onto the image, right? So that was a problem, and this PR basically what it does is it creates a wrapper on top of the config proxy, more or less. So you so that the MD config type operates with config values. So basically, I have the MD config as a reference to the Ceph context config, and the config values is specific to each image.
You were breaking up quite a bit.
Okay. Well,
I'm not sure if it was maybe just on my end or not. Was it? Were other
I heard her
people
too.
able to?
what is
Sorry, what was that?
It was bad for me too, the audio quality.
Okay, okay.
Microphone. Hey, can you hear me now?
Looking at the PR, I'm just curious, does anybody know why image context needs a copy of the config proxy? It's storing a Ceph context, so it could just get the config through the pointer.
Here, were you able to hear Casey's question?
Did you hear me?
It's really broken up here.
What about?
Okay, well, I think that maybe I can help a little bit, okay? But in any moment you can interrupt me, okay? So what this pull request is because basically we need to provide some kind of configuration of custom labels for Prometheus metrics, okay? When the user introduce custom labels in RPD images, we have the problem that to recover these labels, sorry, take a long time, okay? And what Pere, basically what he has done is to profile the different calls in the table of the images, and what we have found, what Pere has found is that the current image CTX context, okay, is taking a lot of time in order to be recovered for each image, okay. So basically what he has done is to replace this big context for any kind of general purpose image users with a proxy that is getting a reference to the big one, okay, and that is more likely to be managed. I do not know, Casey, if that answers your question.
I think the comments in chat are useful. So there is some storage that is specific to the image that we need instead
Yeah.
of just pointing to the Ceph context config.
Yes.
Okay, I think that answers my question. Thanks.
All right, cool. I don't think we have any of the RBD folks here today, from what I can see. So we'll want to get their input too, but sounds good. Sorry, I'm just looking at the comments in the chat right now.
I'm just catching up here, but I think you're talking about having a per image context copy of the configuration. I think one reason that's done is to be able to override configuration with the image-specific metadata. So there are ways to specify like per image configurations that RBD uses, and I think that's why it's making a copy there.
Gosh, I just posted the pull request in the chat window.
Thanks.
But sorry, Josh, I didn't understand your question.
Oh, it wasn't a question, but
Okay.
a statement.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
the reason why it was making copies was to have a per image configuration possible. You can store extra metadata on an image that overrides some of the configuration options.
Yeah.
RBD.
Okay.
It's been some time since I looked at this, so that was before the Ceph context was turned into a whole config proxy object as well. It may have been simpler before that point. The config proxy stuff was only added for Crimson, and I think the locking changed a little bit since then.
Well, we didn't know that. What you are saying, Josh, is that there is another implementation of this config proxy that is used in Crimson.
Yeah, I'm just saying that I think the behavior here might have changed a bit because when it was originally implemented with for RBD, config proxy didn't exist, but then it was changed later. So that may be part of the reason we didn't notice this before, like the performance piece that you're looking at.
Okay, well, in any case, it would be nice to have some kind of assessment, basically from people from RBD. Okay, we have tried that. It seems that it's not. They are very busy. So if you can take a look, okay, it could be.
Yeah, I can try to verify whether the design works with the system metadata scheme.
Thanks.
Sure.
All right. Well then, let's see. Moving on. I did not see any closed pull requests this week. If I missed anything, let me know. Otherwise, updated this week. Igor, it looks like Adam reviewed your avoiding using whole space iterators for prefixed access PR. It looks like he actually approved it, and just had one comment, I think. So yeah, hopefully we get that in soon. This RocksDB one, we should figure this out. It should not be a hard problem, but for whatever reason, there's a hang up here. I asked Radek if he could take a look at it earlier this week, so I'll go bug him again just to see. Since he's updated RocksDB in the past, he should be able to help out. If not, we can do it ourselves. It's not like this should be super hard to get done, but we do really want to get this in for Reef. Let's see next. Set RocksDB iterator bounds for BlueStar collection list. Adam found some bugs, so he requested some fixes for that. But otherwise, I think that people are liking it, so that looks good. Finally, there's an older PR here. This is a really simple PR. It's just disabling busy polling in QAT. This is from someone at Intel. Cafu had marked himself to review it like a month or two ago, I think, or maybe it was even longer. I'm wondering if we should just merge this. It's a really simple change. QAT's Intel stuff. They're recommending that we disable busy polling. Does anyone have a strong opinion? All right. If I'm not hearing a strong opinion on this, I think I might just merge this. They give performance results that made it look like it's an improvement. I kind of trust their judgment on it since this is their technology. So I'll probably just merge this one. Other than that, I didn't.
Mark, just a quick question about QAT in general. Do you know if there's been any discussions about being able to test that stuff in our own infrastructure? Because it's hard to review and support that stuff without being able to run it.
Yeah, I have no idea. Not that I know of, Casey. Like this is like the first I've even have really, looked at it or dealt with it. So, yeah, nothing that I know about.
Okay.
On that topic, though, Casey, do you feel like, do you feel like we need that before merging this?
No, but they have been doing some other QAT stuff that relates to RGW's compression.
Okay.
And it's been hard for me to really know what to do with that.
Yeah, I completely understand. I mean, can we test it?
I might be wrong, but it seems to me that when I originally did some experiments with this stuff, Intel provided a sort of library which wraps both hardware and software implementations for compression optimization. So maybe we can. So if that's true, we can test just software implementation and hope that hardware one uses the same API. But it was like 8 years ago, so maybe I'm wrong.
All right, yeah, that would be great.
I mean, we have the Officinalis nodes, which, I mean, theoretically, I think should support this in hardware, right? Okay, I'll assume the silence means that no one else knows either.
Yeah, I thought it was more of like a specialized card, so I'm not sure if Officinalis has that.
Oh, really? It's not just like CPU optimization for this?
No,
Yeah,
so.
that's like I said. So they had both implementations. The one uses hardware optimization, hardware accelerator, and another relies just on CPU.
Now, I think the functionality got from the add-in cards got moved into the CPUs on the socket, but I don't know what generation. I know the Officinalis CPUs are 1 or 2 generations old, so I'm not sure if they have, but they might well have the functionality built in without needing the add-in card.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
So I suppose our homework is to figure that out. And then theoretically, Casey, if they support it, I suppose you guys have one of those, right?
Sorry, I have one of what?
The Officinalis nodes. I think Mark's been using it.
Okay, yeah, I'll reach out to Mark.
yeah, that might be a path forward if those support it. Yeah, let me know. I can try to help figure it out.
I'm gonna link the QAT PR that they've been working on that touches RGW. Put it in the news
Yeah,
section.
yeah, get that in, and then we can try to keep up with it in this or in this call. All right. For no movement, I don't think there's anything interesting in this right now. I know Igor 48640 is your faster BlueFS allocations and ABL hybrid allocators. That was the one I was mentioning. I know we owe you a review on that, so I'm hoping Adam can look at it too. But if not, I'll try to find time. And oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Just said okay.
All right. I think that's it for PRs. Anything I missed, buddy? All right. For discussion topics, I don't think Corey or David Orman are here, but I'll just give a quick update since they said I could share some of the things that they're seeing. Their cluster is doing really well after a couple of things. They applied the PR that I had for basically compacting an iteration when tombstones were encountered, and that was huge, I guess, for them. They're seeing a dramatic reduction in how much time is spent in iteration, and that allowed them to remove their TTL time to live optimization that they put in place to deal with this in the past, which made other things much better. And on top of that, they applied LZ4 compression to RocksDB, and that's been a huge win for them for space amplification. So all these things combined together, they're seeing dramatically higher performance and lower disk utilization of the cluster. They talked about it last week a little bit, but they're continuing to see a lot of really good behavior over this past week with it. So yeah, really good. I'm hoping that that Reef is going to be a really good release for a lot of people. And that was all I had. But I wanted to ask Joshua if you guys have any update on your stuff.
Yeah, I can briefly just talk about our findings in our staging cluster. After we met last week, there were 3 different paths to try. This is referring to the write amplification we've been witnessing in Pacific. So the tracker issue 58530, not that anybody can get to the tracker right now. It looks like it's overloaded at the moment. 3 different options. The first one we tried, per Igor's suggestion, and this was just like out of curiosity because there's no way we're actually going to apply some prod. You have to re-roll all your OSDs. Is changing the BlueFS shared alloc size to 1 meg. That seems to work as expected. Reduces the inode size because the extent list is smaller because you're doing 1 meg allocations instead of 64K. Mark's suggestion was try the new RocksDB tunings from main. And so I applied that to the system. It had the same effect. In this case, it's because the wall is kept smaller. And so the inode just never gets that big. Again, the extent list is shorter because the wall is smaller. So that was positive. We have an internal item to go and evaluate those settings in against our performance metrics and benchmarks and that sort of thing. And then we'll see if we want to actually start rolling those more widely in our infrastructure ahead of Backport or Reef, but we'll see. And then finally, it was suggested that the BlueFS incremental log update patch that landed in 16.2.11 could fix this as well, and that does seem to be the case too. So really, like any of those options help. I mean, and they're all improving things completely differently, either by keeping the wall smaller or by making inode size increases better or less expensive on the log because we aren't rewriting the entire inode every single time, or by keeping the inode itself smaller. So I did not then try these in combination because like that would be interesting to see what happens if we keep the walls smaller and also have the incremental update mode. But like it's going down to I think it's like 270 kilobytes per second of BlueFS log updates from anywhere between 400 kilobytes per second and 8 megabytes per second. So I mean the change is pretty drastic. I don't know how much further that's going to reduce just because of normal system operation at that point. So
yeah, it's kind of funny. I feel like we get these problems and then we kind of like nuke them from orbit from like 4 directions at once.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, like, I think the combination of the RocksDB settings and then the incremental BlueFS updates is a valid thing, right? Because the fact that wall is still getting so big is, I mean, even if in the steady state it's not showing problems, it's bound to cause some sort of delay somewhere, like a startup delay or something, right? So
Yeah, and it took a long time for us to figure out how to avoid having like crazy write amplification in RocksDB without keeping those big. You know, with the way that we do PG log updates, and I have to give credit. I think it was to either Intel or Micron that came up with like seemingly well working tunings that let you keep it smaller, but no one understood why. So it's every time we had tried that before then, like making those smaller, we just ended up with like crazy write amplification in RocksDB. So it's this weird combination of having to have everything set just precisely right.
Right, yeah, my understanding is it's probably because level 0 and level 1 are bigger, stuff just gets deleted at those levels internally. Is that why? Like my understanding is you keep the walls big, stuff is getting added but deleted within the wall, so it just never gets actually committed to level 0.
Yeah, exactly.
And so by keeping level 0 and level 1 bigger, you basically self-tombstone within those levels before it hits level 2 and below, right?
I think so. Like I think I had at one point convinced myself I knew what it was doing and why it worked right. But yeah.
All right, complicated
Exactly.
enough. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so that's our updates. I am like literally right now evaluating the 16.2.11 patch list for anything that might concern us for upgrading in our environment. So, I mean, I won't know what this looks like in prod probably for another week or two. So at that point, I can like finally comment back on the ticket and say yes or no, this is actually fixed what we're observing at the production level.
Out of curiosity, are you going to try the RocksDB tunings on a cluster that already used the old tunings?
If we do that, we're going to do it independent of rolling 16.2.11.
Okay.
Just because I want to observe the difference separately.
Yes.
Yeah. So I would like to, but that's going to come after.
Okay. We have a decision to make for Reef, whether or not we blanket tune everything to the new tunings, including old clusters, so that they automatically start using those new tunings when they write out new SSD files and use the wall, or if we like kind of flinch and make it so that only new clusters that are deployed use those tunings and old clusters continue to use the existing tunings.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the tunings, and especially based off of what the 11.11 folks were talking about last week, I wonder if it's actually worth dropping the TTL edition from the default tunings. Yeah.
Yes.
Other than that, I mean, yeah, I can understand it's kind of hard to say, but it wouldn't like. I mean, it's not the first time that a major RocksDB behavior change has landed. I mean, we've upgraded RocksDB across major versions, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and for Reef, we're probably going to upgrade it again and possibly adopt all of these new tunings as well as the default behavior.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess in my mind, like a tuning change and a major RocksDB update are kind of equivalent.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't foresee there being any problems with the tuning update, right? Like it just basically means that now the the wall is going to behave differently, which, it's not like that should have any real lasting, you could always change it back. It shouldn't be a problem.
Right.
And the SST files are going to look different. They're going to be sized differently and they're going to behave a little bit differently, but it's not, this can be a gradual thing. It's not like a, incompatible data format or something, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like I think again, evaluating the changes. My personal concern, and we won't know this until it's rolled more widely, would be: is level 0 level 1 big enough, or are we basically, or some configurations going to exceed it, and then also have spill that causes write app, right?
Yeah.
But that, like, there's no way to know that without actually trying, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I've been like relying on you and David, being like, "Hey guys."
Yeah. So we will get to it soon. I don't know when your decision point actually is, but
we pushed Reef off like 3 months, so I think we've got we've got a little time, which is good actually. It's very opportunistically very good for me. But yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll let you know as soon as we test it, but I wouldn't be surprised if we don't actually get good numbers out of it till March.
Okay, cool.
At the
All right. Okay, that's good to know. All right. That's all I had, guys. Was there anything else anyone wanted to bring up this week? Well, all right then. Thank you all for coming. It was a good talk, and we'll meet again next week. See you guys.
Okay.
I think.
Bye.
See you.